Yo, RX back with another breakdown of UFC Vegas 104, Vettori versus Dolidze 2. We're back with another breakdown of a card that is... the UFC should be ashamed they're putting this shit on. If this was happening during the pandemic, it would be understandable. It's 2025, we're still doing cards in the Apex, and they're getting worse. What the fuck? Like, there's a few decent fights on the card, but overall it's dog shit. Main event's dog shit. Like, I don't know what you want me to say at this point. Like, it's really fucking draining to try and pretend to enjoy this shit after a while. That's why I don't. I tell you if something's shit. And the UFC's shit. This card, it's shit. This is a complete embarrassment to the sport, to the UFC, to MMA. Like, this is a fucking pathetic excuse for a card. It's in a fucking empty warehouse in Las Vegas with a main event no one cares about or asked for. A bunch of fights that mainly are between cans, or maybe there'll be good prospects. This card's not good. It's that simple. It's pathetic that we're still doing this bullshit in 2025, 5 years after the fucking pandemic. The pandemic ended in what, 2021, 2022? I don't fucking remember. You were being able to go back to arenas in what, 2022? Why the fuck are we still doing this bullshit in the Apex? So, but it's better. It's just the same as an arena. No, it's not. It's literally proven not to be. The fucking 300 people you give free tickets to show up to this bullshit are fucking bored because the fights suck and no one wants to be in the fucking Apex. So, I don't know what you want me to say. This is a pathetic excuse for a card, a pathetic excuse for a main event, and there's very little I'm actually looking forward to on this card. So, well, but because I'm a psychopath who for some reason does this bullshit for y'all, we gotta break down this bullshit. 13 fights. This is gonna be fucking buckets of fun, ain't it? Well, let's not waste any time, because we got a lot of garbage to fucking talk about, so let's do just that as we get into our breakdown of UFC Vegas 104. Before I do, please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2025. And unless I'm forgetting to say something, which I don't believe I am, because if I am, it's probably just more insults to this entire thing. Especially fucking this piece of shit organization. So let's just get to the fights. You don't care to hear me ramble about this card or the fights on it, but we're here to fucking break down some fights, so let's do it. Shitty card, not excited. Let's break it down. UFC Vegas 104, 13 fights in total. Should kill me. Let's do it. As always, we begin on the prelims, and like a lot of the time lately, we begin with a women's fight. It feels like that's been a lot of cards lately, maybe I'm wrong. As in our first fight of the night, we begin the night in the women's flyweight division, I believe. Yes, sir. As in our opening fight of the night, you know, this is not that bad, I'll give him that. As we begin the night with Yuneisy Duben, I forget how you say her first name, versus crispy Carli Judice. I don't think this is a bad fight. I think this should be a lot higher on the card. I think this is actually one of the better fights on the card, so you know, I'll give you that at least. At least you're starting off with a semi-decent fight. I'm pretty intrigued. I'm not upset with this. Okay, UFC, you start off well. You're not gonna continue it, are you? You didn't think so. Well, before we get to the garbage, well, at least we start off with a fine fight. Duben, Judice. It's okay. let's talk about it. As we begin with our first fighter of the night, Yuneisy Duben, however you say it. Duben is making her UFC debut, one of many fighters making their debuts on this card. And I think we all know Duben from the Contender Series. She had the highlight of the season last year. Definitely the fighter, the star, whatever you want to call her, of the season last year. Knocking out Shannon Clark as a ginormous underdog. Plus 450. It might have been even higher than that. Flatlining her out cold for beautiful overhand right. Didn't even need to leave the cage. She was pretty much signed the second Clark's body hit the canvas. So, yeah, Duben instantly became a star, and now it's time for her to fucking show up in the UFC and see what she can do. 28 years old, 6-0, so very inexperienced. Don't love that. Not the tallest fighter, 5'4" at flyweight is worrying. But she has power in her hands if she can connect. We've not seen her ground game. We did not see her ground game, at least. She has one submission in her career, all finishes in her career, never went to decision, never went to round 3. That's also pretty worrying. So we'll see what she can do in the big leagues now. The only thing we saw in her Contender Series fight is she has a lot of power. So now we get to see what she can do in the big show. So this is pretty much a Contender Series fight with who she's fighting, so we'll see what Duben can do. I think she is definitely one of my favorite fighters from Contender Series last year. How could she not be? She got maybe the best knockout in Contender Series history. The holy shit moment of the season, the star of the season, etc., etc. So now it's time to show that was not a fluke and blah 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 blah. And now prove it in the UFC. Can she do it? We're gonna find out. To talk about her opponent, Carli Judice. Judice in the UFC is 0-1, and she lost on Contender Series as well, but she had such a good fight, she did get signed. After that banger on the Contender Series in 2023 with Yuneisy, she did get signed. Made her UFC debut in the middle of 2024 against Gabriela Fernandez. Lost, I thought, pretty clearly. I don't remember if it should have been a split or not. That is aging a lot better. Both those losses, I guess. Yuneisy ain't doing bad in the UFC. Gabby is riding high after her last fight, so I guess you could be doing worse. Judice was meant to fight 1 month ago against Juliana Miller, but Juliana Miller was busy making OnlyFans instead of fighting, so more important things. She has her mind focused on the prize at hand. But to talk about Judice, I don't really know what to say. She's very inexperienced. She's 26 years old, 3-2 in the UFC. Not the most skilled, not the highest fight IQ. Like, in that fight against Fernandez, against someone with no grappling, she didn't shoot one takedown, which is the main reason I picked her to win that fight. She's very green. We've not seen her grappling at all. We've seen her cardio. It's okay. She has no power in her hands from what I remember. She's a decent striker, but not phenomenal. Again, Fernandez was able to beat her pretty solidly, if I remember. She's not very good. She's not UFC ready or level. She's very inexperienced, and she had a banger on a Contender Series, and she should have got signed, I agree. But now, looking back, she has not been ready for UFC. She is so fucking green. And the good thing, she is fighting someone else who's very green, but even I think Duben is more UFC ready and fucking proven, just off their Contender Series performances, than Judice. So maybe I'm wrong, we're gonna find out, but not a lot of great things to say about Judice. She's not very good, at least. 2 fights into her UFC career, one on Contender Series, one in the UFC. She's not looked the most impressive. She looks everything I said. Green, inexperienced, bad fight IQ, and one-dimensional. So we'll see if that holds true Saturday night. The betting odds think she's the greatest fighter to ever live for some reason, with her being minus 500 to plus 380. Huh? Did we not see Duben's Contender Series fight? Or do we not see Judice has lost 2 in a row? How the fuck are these? These are the most weird betting odds I've ever seen. How is the person coming off Contender Series with all the hype, a ginormous underdog to someone who lost on Contender Series, got a contract anyway, and lost their UFC debut? I don't even know what, like, she's less experienced than Duben, she's looked worse than Duben, she's taller, but I think Duben has more power, I think Duben has better striking, I think Duben probably has a better ground game. Yeah, Duben hasn't went the distance, but we'll see if she has good cardio. I think these odds are fucking stupid. Like, these are the weirdest betting odds I've ever fucking seen, so I don't know what to fucking say. Minus 500 Carli Judice might go down as a legendarily bad betting line if Duben wins this week, which I think she will. I don't know how you can have Judice minus 500 against anybody, let alone someone who isn't undefeated, coming off the win of the season last year in Contender Series, riding high, etc., etc. So I don't get it. I truly don't fucking get it, but we're gonna find out. Maybe I'm stupid, but I think these betting odds are dumber. So I think Duben should be a favorite. I would have Duben probably minus 140, 150, not 500. Either way, it's a very inexperienced fight. I didn't want to say low level because I don't know how good Duben is yet, but it's two very inexperienced fighters who, so far, we've seen very little from Duben and not a lot from Judice and the aspects of skill. So it's not the highest level of fight, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I think it will probably be a good fight, but guess we're gonna have to find out Saturday night. Well, Saturday afternoon, at least for me. So that'll be that. Who am I picking here? I'm going to start off with the underdog. I'm going Duben. I don't know why she's plus 380. I think laying a little bit of money on her would probably be smart. Not a lot, but if I did betting, I probably would. I'm not saying you should, but if you want to put some money on someone, I think right there, if it hits, then you got free money. If it doesn't, I'm not saying you should bet on her, but if you want to, I think she's probably the best dog on the card because the odds are so fucking wrong for her fight. So, give me Duben. I don't know what the fuck the betting odds are thinking, but maybe I don't know what I'm thinking. We're gonna find out Saturday. So give me Duben by probably decision. I don't think she's gonna be able to knock out Judice. Maybe, but it's very unlikely. And plus, it'd probably be good to see Duben go 15 minutes. I won't be shocked if he comes in here with a grappling game plan, since Judice is the taller fighter and we've not really seen her grapple yet. I highly doubt she's very experienced in that regard. So, or very skilled. So, I won't be shocked if Duben comes out with a more grappling heavy game plan, and if so, I think that could be a leader to victory. So, or if she wants to strike, we know she has that bomb in her hand, so see if she can land it. But, yeah, outside of that, I'm gonna go Duben by decision. I don't know why she's such a big dog, but I'm gonna pick the underdog like the rest of Tapology because we're not stupid. So, give me Duben by decision. Should win this fight. It's not the hardest debut in the world. Judice is not very skilled, and, Duben, time to put up or shut up. Let's see if you're worth the hype off Contender Series or not. My pick, give me Duben by decision to begin the night as a giant underdog for no fucking reason. After that, we go to our second fight of the night. Probably going to be fight of the night. I'd kind of be shocked. Definitely high in contention, at least, for fight of the night. If it won't be fight of the night in general. As in our second fight of the night, we head to women's bantamweight. for a low-level but very fun fight between Josiane, Josie Nunes versus Priscila Zombie Girl Cachoeira. Yeah, this is a low-level fight. This is a loser gets cut fight as well, so that'll be interesting. I think they're both, well, one of Granny Cachoeira's back. The Brazilian battle up at 135. Cachoeira is moving up to 135, I think, for the second time in her career, or if not, it's the first time. So we'll see what happens there. It's a low-level fight. It's gonna be fun at least. So let's see who wins this Brazilian battle. Who keeps their job? Who gets cut? So let's find out. Let's begin with Josie Nunes, who had all the hype at one point, and now there's none of it. 3-2 in UFC. Began her UFC career with a great win over B. Malecki that really started her hype train. Then it slowed down a bit, being Romana Pascal in a forgettable fight, and then Zara Farron, a terrible fight. She looked terrible in that fight. And then she came back down to reality, losing to Chelsea Chandler and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Not the worst fighters in the world to lose to, especially at 135. Two very okay pro. Chelsea Chandler is a very debatable prospect at this point. Jacqueline Cavalcanti is very talented. That was not a split decision at all. So, not the worst L's in the world, but Nunes did not look great in those fights. So now she's lost 2 in a row, needing to get a win here. Nunes is not very good. She's very tiny. She should not be fighting at bantamweight. She should be fighting at almost fucking strawweight, if we're being honest. She's 5 feet tall or whatever, 5'2", so she's shorter than Jessica Andrade. She has nice power in her hands, but she can barely hit you half the time. We've not seen any of her grappling from what I remember. Her cardio's subpar, if I remember. She's not a great fighter. She got exposed pretty quickly when she stopped fighting the bottom of the barrel. And now she's getting a kind of a step down, but not a complete step down against Cachoeira, who will bring the fight to her. So, this will be interesting. Nunes was ranked not even, a few months ago, and now she's outside the top 15 fighting for a job. How quick the tables turn on your hype. And let's see what she can do. Her striking is easily her best weapon, because she has nice power. But outside of that, she's not very good at all. So, let's see what Nunes can do. Let's see if she can get back on track and keep her job. We need at least one Nunes in the UFC, so if she loses, we have none. To talk about her opponent, Cachoeira, the zombie girl, somehow still in the UFC, 36 years old, 4-6 in the UFC. Jesus Christ. Her 4 wins have been Shana Dobson, Gina Mazzani. She did not beat Ji Yeon Kim and Ariane Lipsky. Her losses have been Valentina, Molly McCann, Luana Carolina, Joanne Robertson, Ji Yeon Kim. Let's be honest, we know who won that fight. Miranda Maverick and Jasmine Jasdavicius. Cachoeira's a joke. Like, I don't think I need to explain that to you. Like, I'll never fucking forget that Joanne Robertson fight where she got submitted, but went for Julian's eyes while to try and break away from the submission. So, yeah, you're a bitch. And she's not a good fighter either. She's a fun fighter. She has nice power in her hands, but outside of that, cardio, nope. Grappling, nope. She has a little bit of durability. She's only been finished, I think, on the ground, so I'll give her that, and only by submission. She's never been KO'd. But yeah, she's terrible. Like, her wins are against bad fighters. Her losses are all against okay ones, or some even bad ones thrown in there. Her last 2 fights getting beat up badly by Miranda Maverick and Jasmine Jasdavicius, which is not bad L's. Those 2 are top 15 level and very good, and they are ranked in the top 15. But yeah, Cachoeira got destroyed in those fucking fights. she's not good. Now she is 36, almost 37 years old, been off for over a year. Moving up to bantamweight finally, long overdue after many years of struggling at flyweight. Is this her first fight up at bantamweight? Oh, well, yeah, she fought Jasmine at bantamweight because she was gonna miss weight. So she's fought up there a few times. Same thing with fucking Ariane Lipski, because why did this get cancelled the first time? Okay, no, it wasn't her fault. Okay. So, but yeah, she's fought at bantamweight before, but I think this is her going full-time up there. So, we'll see what, like, that division is so fucking shallow. Cachoeira could be ranked by the end of the weekend if she wins this fight. So, we'll see. She's not very good. She's pretty much the same as Nunes, just taller. She's a very powerful striker, but outside of that, no cardio, no grappling, good durability, but for how much longer? So should be a fun fight, but God, it's a low level one. It's pretty much between the same two people. So let's see what happens. The betting odds say Josiane Nunes is going to get the win with a minus 205 favorite to plus 170. I don't know if I would have Nunes that high of a favorite. I'd probably have her minus 170, funny enough, to plus like 150. Nunes should be the favorite, I would say. She's younger, she's a little more well-rounded, I would say. I'm guessing her ground game is probably better than Cachoeira's. Her cardio is better than Cachoeira's. She's not taking as much damage as Cachoeira. So, all of those variables added together, like how I don't think Cachoeira's much. Ooh, 5'7", 5'2", that's worrying. But I think Nunes could get on the inside, or same thing I said with Duben, as the shorter fighter. Go for a grappling game plan. So, we know Cachoeira's not going to because she has no cardio and no grappling. So, we know she's going to strike. But will Nunes? We're going to find out. I'm going to go Josiane Nunes. Main reason being fuck Cachoeira. But the second one being I do think Nunes will win. If I had to pick, it's a very close fight. But it's hard not to lean Nunes. Younger, not as damage-ridden. I think just a better fighter. So I don't like the giant size disadvantage, but with Josiane Nunes, she's fought that issue before. So give me Josiane Nunes by decision. There's a good chance they're the finish in this fight. Cachoeira could break Nunes. Nunes could break Cachoeira, but I feel like we're gonna get a 15-minute brawl. So. Or Nunes go through a grappling game plan. Like I said with Duben. Wouldn't be the worst idea. But we'll have to wait and see. My pick, give me Josiane Nunes by decision. Should win, but I wouldn't be shocked if she loses. It's a very, very close fight. And should be good. If that gets 5 tonight, don't be shocked. Josiane Nunes by decision. After that, we get to our first male fight of the night in the bantamweight division. One of many very easy fights to predict on this card. I'm not going to waste a lot of time here because I don't really have a lot to say. And then our third fight of the night, we head to men's bantamweight, or flyweight, my bad, for a pretty easy fight to predict between André Mascotti Lima versus Daniel Barez. Not a lot to say here. I don't think I need to explain much, but I'll go into a little depth real quick. So, let's talk about it. First male fight, and we begin with André Lima. Lima in UFC is 3-0 coming out Contender Series, and it's 3 UFC fights. He has beat Igor Severino, Mitch Raposo, and Felipe Dos Santos. We all know what happened in the Igor Severino fight. He got bit, got a DQ win, sweet. Then he fought Mitch Raposo. He did miss weight for that fight. He did look pretty underwhelming, but shit happens, I'll give him a break. Because then he came back against Felipe Dos Santos, who looked alright and got the win. So, took some time off, hasn't fought since September, and is now back after a very busy 2024. Lima's okay. He's not shown, I think, anything that he's not shown anything that tells me he's going to be a top prospect. I think some other guys just compared to Ramzan Timarov in his first fight, he showed he was going to be good. Lima so far has not shown much. That Severino fight was not looking very good for him, if we're being honest. If you remember, he did not look amazing against Mitch Raposo. He clearly won, but he did not dominate, I guess. And then Felipe dos Santos, he did again clearly win, but I don't remember it being an easy one. So he's kind of looked underwhelming against pretty easy competition, especially in his last two fights. So now he's getting a ginormous step down, easily I would say tied for his easiest fight of his career with Raposo so far. So we'll see what Lima can do. He is undefeated, which is a bad sign, especially in 2025. We know if you're undefeated, you have to lose your O. So maybe this card breaks that curse, or it even adds to it. We'll see. But for Andre Lima, not been overly impressed with him in the UFC. So far, his career highlights getting bit in a fight he was not doing great in. So we'll see. We'll see what Lima can do. Hopefully he makes weight again, and hopefully he looks a little better than he has lately. He's still young, 26 years old, 10-0. I don't expect him to look amazing right out the gate, but compared to some of his other fellow prospects in that division, like an Alessandro Costa, for example, he's not looked amazing. So we'll see if Lima, even I think Rafael Esteban has looked a little bit better, because at least he's doing, he's having tough fights with a pretty decent name guys. So Lima still a little bit behind the blocks when it comes to being a top tier prospect, but he's not bad. He's winning, and that's all that matters. We're talking about his opponent, Daniel Barez, who is not winning. Daniel in the UFC is 0-2 because he definitely did not win his last fight. In his first two UFC fights, he's lost to Rafael Filho and Victor Altamirano. Barez is not good. I don't really need to say much. He's 36 years old at flyweight. Rafael Filho, he should have finished, but he got submitted by him. Victor Altamirano, he got beat by. I don't know why the judges hate Victor Altamirano. And then on Contender Series, he lost to Carlos Hernandez, who's ass cheeks. Also, he fought Manel Kopp. I'm shy. I can wonder how that went. Barez is terrible. I don't have respect for this dude because he did not win his last fight. So, yeah, you're 36 years old. You're not good, and you're gonna get fucking destroyed here. So, have fun. The betting odds actually agree with me for once, which is very rare. Having Andre Lima minus 310, you could have a bigger favorite than that. You could have minus 4 to 500 in my opinion. He should win this fight. He's better on the feet. He's better on the ground. He has better cardio. Maybe Barez has better power, but outside of that, I'm taking Lima all day, every day, pretty easily. So, give me Andre Lima by decision. I really don't see him choking this layup of a win. So, don't get knocked out, I guess. Outside of that, I don't know how he loses this fight. So, should be minus 4 to 500. He's not my lock of the night, though, which it sounds like he should be, but he's not. And, yeah, he's going to win this fight as easily as he probably can. So, don't miss weight, don't underperform, and you got an easy win here. So, give me Andre Lima by decision. Not a lot to say. Barez is dog shit. Lima is not the most impressive so far, but he's better than Barez. So, yeah. Andre Lima by decision pretty easily. After that, we go to our fourth fight of the night, our final female fight of the night, of course. So we'll get them out the way early, which I think is kind of silly, but whatever. they're not the worst on this card. Actually, one of the few bright spots. I think this is the worst one, fight caliber wise, but this is probably the biggest one when it comes to, like, I don't know what you want to say, skill. As in, one of these two is not skilled at all, but minor details. As in our fourth fight of the night in the strawweight division, we have Sam Page Hughes versus Stephanie Rondina Luciano. This is an interesting fight. Definitely, I might say the closest fight we've had so far. I think the betting odds are a little crazy here. This is gonna be a tight one. I think a lot of people could get this wrong, and a lot of people could get this right for many different reasons. So, let's see. Should be an interesting one. Let's talk about Sam Hughes, the veteran. Sam in the UFC is 4-5. Her 4 wins so far have been Istela Nunes, Elise Reed, Jacqueline Amorim, and Victoria Dudakova. Her losses have been Tisha Pennington, Luma Lukebumi, Luana Pinheiro, Pierre Rodriguez, and Yasmin Hawagui. Sam Hughes has been the most up and down fighter possible. You look at her wins: Estela Nunes, trash; Elise Reed, trash; Jacqueline Amorim, trash; Victoria Dudakova, trash. You look at her losses: Tisha Pennington, okay; Luma Lukebumi, okay; Luana Pinheiro, that's pretty bad; Pierre Rodriguez, I guess that's aged a little bit better; Yasmin Hawagui, that has aged pretty badly. Yeah, she's fraud checked a few fighters in Amorim and Dudakova, but outside of that, usually she's getting beat up by these prospects. So, like Pierre and Yasmin, she's not good. Like, I will not call her good. I think she's just fighting people who are worse. She's 32 years old. She's 9-6. She's not a finisher. Like, she has 1 TKO, and it was against Elise Reed, who's Elise Reed. So, I just don't think much of Sam Hughes. She's been able to beat these fighters who are really shitty, and that's about it. And she's been beaten by fighters who are really shitty, like Luana Pinheiro. So, I don't know what else. Like, not much to say about Sam. She's not exciting. I don't think she's good, and I think she just has benefited from fighting very hyped up trash fighters. So, yeah, you think I'm gonna lie? I hyped up Dudakova, and she's awful. So, what does that tell you? I don't know. But I'll give Sam this. She does find a way to just win these fights against these prospects. So, maybe she does it again here. We're gonna find out. But she's not. I'm not looking forward to see her fight. I'm not looking forward to seeing her fight again. I don't think she's that good to begin with. So, double whammy there. Let's see what she can do, though. Let's see if she can take another, if she can fraud check another fraud. As we talk about her opponent, Stephanie Luciano. Luciano in the UFC is 1-0, coming off the Contender Series, and both those fights she beat Talita Alencar. Not a lot to say in that regard. Alencar is one of the worst fighters on the roster because she's not a fighter. She just wants to fucking grapple, and she's not even good at that, and she's really bad. Gasses pretty quickly. So yeah, Luciano in that fight with Alencar looked great. Her striking looked crisp as fuck for 15 minutes, but that's against someone with no striking ability and no cardio. Now getting a pretty big step up to Sam Hughes, who's going to test her more. Gonna be interesting. I definitely think she's gonna need to stop some takedowns, which she has done. We saw her do that against Alencar, but I think Sam Hughes is a better grappler and much bigger than Alencar, so gotta keep that in mind. I think Luciano is an interesting prospect. A win here would be pretty big. Again, she has very solid striking. At least in her against Alencar, I don't know if that's going to carry over, but at least in her debut, she had decent striking. Her cardio looked good. Her takedown defense, if I remember, looked good. So she has the tools. Now, can she put them together against a much better fighter than Alencar? we're gonna find out. So, gonna be an interesting one. A win here would be big for for Luciano, but Sam Hughes ain't no cakewalk, even though she's trash and should be. For some reason, she isn't. And the betting odds betting odds not agreeing with me and thinking this is a close fight, having Luciano minus 260 to plus 210. I would have the odds a lot closer. I'd probably have Luciano minus 120, 130. She, on paper, should win. She's better than Hughes. She's younger than Hughes. I think she's bigger than Hughes. An inch. So, she should win on paper, but you can say that about a lot of Sam Hughes fights, and a few of them were wins for Sam Hughes. So what does that tell you? I think Luciano is better than all the people Sam Hughes has beat. So I know that's not a high bar, but still, if Luciano can stay at range and pick her apart on the feet like she did with fucking Alencar, she'll easily win this fight. But she needs to stay at range and easily pick her apart on the feet first. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna go Stephanie Luciano by decision. I think she's the better fighter. I don't want to pick Sam Hughes to win a fight. I don't think I ever have, and I don't think I ever will, because fuck doing that. I don't think Sam Hughes is good at all. And I think Luciano should be able to be the better fighter here and win. My biggest concern is getting grappled. So, if Luciano can keep it on the feet for 15 minutes, we know she won the fight. But if Hughes starts getting her down, then we're gonna be starting getting into some worrying positions. So, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to say Luciano keeps it standing and wins over 15 minutes to get her second win in the UFC and add another L to Sam Hughes' record. So, give me Stephanie Luciano by decision in a fight that should be closer betting odds-wise. Again, minus 130 is what I would average. So, a lot of people betting on Sam Hughes this week. Let's see if it pays off again. Give me Stephanie Luciano by decision to break those betting slips. Sorry, boys. After that, I have not a lot to say here, since this is the definition of a layup debut, and I said a lot on this card. As in our fifth fight of the night, we head to bantamweight for a layup of all layups. I can't describe in any other term than that, as we have Josias, the KO Wizard Musasa versus Carlos Pequeno Vera. Yeah, this is some low-level fighting. I'm not gonna waste your time here. The UFC's handing this Musasa kid a layup in his debut. I get it a little bit. Like, this is probably the worst fighter you can give him, so it makes sense, but I was not super impressed with Musasa on a contender series. He had a very close fight with Otar, who is shit in his own right. So I think they got the decision right. I think Josias clearly won, but it wasn't very impressive. And now he's fighting Carlos Vera, who is also not a good fighter. He's 37 years old. He trains with Ryan Hall. He has no striking. He's just gonna try and grapple. The only thing with this fight, you wonder is if Musasa is going to get the finish or just go 15 minutes with him like Rinya Nakamura did. Has Vera ever been KO'd? Never been KO'd, submitted twice, so you're not even good at your fucking grappling technique. I'm leaning decision. I just struggle to see Musasa getting the finish here. If Rinya Nakamura couldn't, who at the time was very good, I don't know if Josias will, who I think is very green, 26 years old, against another guy who's just going to be shooting at his legs for 15 minutes. Give me Musasa by decision. If I regret that, fine. but I'm leaning decision. I struggle to pick a finish here. Again, against another guy who's going to be scared to fight him like Otar, because Otar is a Marab training partner, and he just tried to cuddle Musasa for 15 minutes. So, let's see if this goes better or worse for Musasa in the terms of getting a finish. So, I'm going to say he probably doesn't. I'm going to go, I know I'm saying his name wrong. Josias Muras by decision. Probably, I doubt I change that prediction. Unless, I don't know what I would have to see to change it, but let's see, what's the height and all that? 5'8", 5'6", 70, 69. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a lot like his Contender Series fight. Vera is going to be shooting takedowns, getting stuffed, laying on his back, and for 15 minutes. That's going to be the long and short of it for Josias. So, give me... Oh, God, I want to stop saying his name. Josias Musasa. I think I might be right, if anything. Musasa by decision. Maybe I change it to a knockout, but right now I'm feeling decision. So, I think it's going to be a lot like his Contender Series fight. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's all I gotta say about that fight. I'm not going in depth on a Carlos Vera fight. No. So, yeah. The biggest favorite on the card. Actually, is he the biggest favorite on the card? No. My bad. Musasa by decision. After that, we head to our prelim co-main event of the evening. This fight got moved down from the main card opener yesterday or the day before, which is funny, but is the right move. This fight should not have been on the main card. It's a lot better in this position. As in our co-main event of the prelims in the bantamweight division, we have a interesting fight between Seung Jiu-Jitsu Yu versus AJ the Savage Cunningham. This will be an interesting fight. It's not a very high level one. We got a guy from the road to UFC versus a guy who stepped in on short notice to get his ass beat. So, not the highest level of fight, but someone will come out of this with a win. So, let's find out who. We'll begin the breakdown with Seung Yu coming off the road to UFC, where he did win it a few months ago, beating, not even gonna try to say that name. I did predict him to win that fight. I swear he was the underdog in that fight, but maybe I'm wrong. He was, haha. Yu looked okay on the road to UFC, not amazing. He's mainly just a grappler. Jiu-Jitsu, I guess, speaks for itself, doesn't it? I don't remember seeing a lot of his striking. It doesn't seem like he's a very good striker anyway. His submission game ain't great. Like, and he got 0 finishes on the road to UFC. In that road to UFC finale against that guy, he just held him down for 15 minutes, which it worked, but was very boring. And again, I don't even think he really got close to getting a submission. He does have a good ground game, I won't say he doesn't, but his submission game looks weak. His cardio looks fine, but yeah, was not overly impressed with his win on road to UFC. So, and we know road to UFC fighters are fucking terrible, so that's always something to keep in mind. So we'll see. We'll see what you can do here. Getting AJ Cunningham, who is one of the worst fighters on the roster. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he continues the streak of road to UFC fighters being ass, or is he actually good? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Actually, no, we won't, because if he's good, beating AJ Cunningham won't prove that, because it's AJ Cunningham, but I guess that's a different story. Let's see what Seung Yu can do in his UFC debut. Will he show better striking or submission game? We'll see. To talk about his opponent, AJ Cunningham, not a lot to say here, and the main things I can say about him is, I know he's a Bryce Mitchell training partner, so I don't think he's as stupid as Bryce Mitchell though, so let's hope not. He is 0-1 in the UFC and on the Contender Series. He had his shot on the Contender Series, got beat up pretty badly. Won on the regional scene against an 8-10 guy. And then he fought Ludovic Klein on short notice and got fucking annihilated. That was not even a fair fight. Yeah, AJ Cunningham's terrible. He's a human punching bag. He's not a good striker. He's not a good grappler. Even though I don't think we've seen his grappling, I'm gonna just guess it's not good. He is 30 years old. He's taken a lot of damage in his first 2 UFC fights. The good thing, he's not fighting a striker here, so he might be able to get lucky and not get fucking KO'd. But, yeah, he's not good. He's a punching bag, and sorry, I'm actually shocked he's not fighting a striker, because you'd think they want to put him up against one just to have another highlight, so, but the UFC is giving him a close to favorable matchup, so we'll see what he can do. And a very favorable matchup when it comes to not getting knocked the fuck out. They tried to feed him to Morgan Cherry here, but that fell through. Probably for the better. So let's see what AJ can do, though. A more favorable matchup on a full camp. See what the guy can do. The betting odds for this fight, I have Su Young Yu, the biggest favorite on the card, at -700 to +500. I get it, but I don't know if I'd have him that big of a favorite. I do see a world where Yu is not able to get Cunningham down, and it's kind of like what I just talked about, the Carlos Vera fight. Yu just continuously shoots takedowns and doesn't get them. So, also Cunningham is cutting 20 pounds down to fucking bantamweight from his last fight, which is batshit. But he is pretty tall. He is 4 inches taller than you with a 6-inch reach advantage. So gotta keep that in mind. Of course I'm gonna go Su Young Yu, but I don't think he should be -700. I'd probably have him closer to -350. I think he should be a big favorite, but I don't know about -700. His striking ain't very good from what I've seen. His submission game ain't spectacular. Cunningham is not going to get knocked out here, I don't think, at least. I think he only has 3 knockouts on his record, and I think they're ground and pound, probably. Yeah, TKO. Oh no, he does have a straight right and an elbow, so I'll give him that, but he's not going to want to strike with a much bigger dude. He's going to want to get him down and fucking win that way, so that's probably how he's going to win this fight. I'd be shocked if he wins any other way. So give me Su Young Yu by probably decision. Again, he does not seem to be the best finisher. In 3 Road to UFC fights, no submissions or knockouts. And again, I don't think he's that great of a striker. So give me Su Young Yu by decision, probably. Again, I can see a world where Cunningham's able to stuff takedowns and gas him out and beat him, but I think that world is very unlikely. So give me Su Young Yu by decision. I could see a submission in there, but I'm not going to count on it. So maybe I change it to a submission, but I'd be shocked if I did. So give me Su Young Yu by decision. More than likely to do the same thing he did in his last fight, just hold down the bigger opponent. Because it wasn't the guy he just fought pretty big as well? 5'9", 70 inch. Yeah, so pretty not. So Cunningham's a little bit bigger than the guy he just fought. So yeah, I think this fight goes a lot like that one. You should be able to hold Cunningham down and get a decision. So give me Su Young Yu by decision. In our prelim co-main event. I'm already yawning because this card's gonna be boring. Yeah. But something that won't be boring, I think this fight could be very interesting as we go to our featured prelim. Should be on the main card, but UFC. And then our featured prelim, we head to heavyweight for a very intriguing fight. I think this is gonna be really interesting. And then our featured prelim in the heavyweight division, we end the prelims with Waldo Salsa Boy Cortes-Acosta versus Ryan Superman Spann. This is an interesting fight. Ryan Spann moving up to heavyweight against Waldo, who is in the top 15. This should be interesting. This should be pretty interesting. I'm very intrigued to see what happens here. Let's see what happens. Should be an interesting one. Not gonna promise a knockout, but it should be good. Interesting. I don't know if good's the right term, but interesting. As we'll begin with the heavyweight, the normal heavyweight of the two, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Waldo in the UFC is 5-1. His 5 wins have been against Jared Vanderaa, Chase Sherman, Lucas Bresky, André Arlovski, and Robelis Daspenge, coming off Contender Series. And his 1 UFC loss is to Marcos Rogerio de Lima. In his first 2 UFC fights, he looked super unimpressive against Vanderaa and Sherman. Then he lost to de Lima, which really didn't help. And now he's on a 3-fight winning streak. Lucas Bresky, that was a good performance even against a terrible fighter like Bresky. The André Arlovski fight was fucking pathetic. The dude should be ashamed of that bullshit. And then Waldo was the one to fraud check Robelis Daspenge. And now he's coming back after that. Now he's in the top 15, I think ranked 13th, 12th. And now he's fighting Ryan Spann. I don't think the UFC likes Waldo very much because he's a decision machine at heavyweight, and he disrespected André Arlovski. Yeah, I don't think the UFC likes it very much. He's not very exciting. Again, he has mainly decisions on his record at heavyweight. 1 finish in the UFC, 2 if you count Contender Series. He's very disrespectful. He plays around more than he fights. I don't think the UFC likes him very much, but they don't have heavyweights, so they gotta put someone in the top 15. Waldo's biggest problem in his game is leg kicks. He does not block them. Outside of that, he's really not been hit very good in the UFC. His cardio is fine. We're not really seeing his grappling at all. So, not seen a lot from Waldo outside what we've seen is just him easily being able to beat these shit. No, we did see him grapple Robelis Daspenge, but that's super unimpressive. So, not much from Waldo to go off of. We've seen him fight 6 times now, and he's shown he's able to go 15 minutes doing the bare minimum to win. So, we'll see if that works this time against the best fighter he's fought so far, not named de Lima. So, let's see what he can do, man. I'll see if Waldo might actually show up for a fight instead of just fucking point fight to a decision. It would be nice. To talk about his opponent, Ryan Spann. Spann moving up from light heavyweight, as I said. In the UFC at light heavyweight, he won 8-5, coming off a win against Oven St. Peru. I'm not going to go over his light heavyweight run since it's not needed to talk about. The main thing is how will he look at heavyweight. He's 33 years old, he's 6'5", he's not a short dude. The light heavyweight cut never seemed bad for him. He only missed weight 1 time against Dominic Reyes, so that's interesting. We'll see how he looks at heavyweight. They probably could have gave him a lot easier of a fight, but I guess they want to give him a big opportunity right off the bat. Spann, I don't think is a good fighter at all. He pretty much just has good power in his hands and an okay submission game. Fight IQ is terrible. Durability has never been the strongest. Cardio's not great. Ground game ain't great. He has good power and an okay submission game. Outside of that, I don't think Ryan Spann's a very good fighter, but he's getting a top 15 shot in his heavyweight debut, so a win here would be good for him. So we'll see what Spann can do at heavyweight. His media day photos, he looks decent. He has a little bit of belly on him, but at heavyweight that's gonna happen. Let's see how he looks. Hopefully this is not a move up because he's lazy, and it's a move up because he thinks it's the best weight class for him. So we're gonna find out, aren't we? Should be interesting. The betting odds for this fight, I have Waldo Cortes-Acosta minus 175 to plus 140. Yeah, I'd probably say that's about right. 180, I'd go at highest. You can drop down to 170 though. I think Waldo will win. I'd be a little shocked if he didn't. He's more experienced at heavyweight, and he's more experienced when it comes to carrying extra weight around. This is Ryan Spann's first fight at heavyweight against a guy who's very well at point fighting and is not going to have that firefight with Spann. It's hard not to pick Waldo. More than likely he'll be able to just do the same boring shit he always does. Either he's going to fight at range, or he might even grapple, you never know. It'd be cool to see Spann knock him out, but it's unlikely. More than likely, like I said, Waldo point fights his way to another boring decision. So, we'll see. I doubt we get a finish in this fight. If we do, it'd be by Ryan Spann, of course. But more than likely, we go the full 15 minutes, and we have Salsa Boy winning another boring fight. So, at the end of the day, as much as I would like to see Ryan Spann knock out Waldo, I'm going to go Waldo Cortes-Acosta by decision. It's just a more most likely outcome. So, maybe heavyweight Spann's a new mystical fighter, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So, give me Waldo Cortes-Acosta by decision to finish off a pretty forgettable prelims. So, but, as I said, forgettable prelims, and that's what they are, to end the prelims. To now go over them, they're not great. To go over the prelims, like, it starts off alright, the first two fights could be fun, but then we get, okay, this could be alright, this could be alright, but more than likely he just makes it boring. This, I don't have much hope for, and I don't have much hope for a Waldo Cortes-Acosta fight. So, there's a few fights that could be decent, but overall I'm not holding my breath. I picked all decisions. You and Josias could both get finishes. Outside of that, I think we are going to have decisions across the board here. And, yeah, it's not a stacked prelims. A few prospects, but none that are jumping off the page and are likely to get finishes. So, if I'm wrong, I hope they all get finishes, but it's unlikely. So, just have a good fight, bare minimum, and we'll see what happens. So now we go on to the main card. 6 more fights, and it's not a terrible main card if there's a real pay-per-view on it. So, or not real pay-per-view, a real main event on it, but, you know, I guess beggars are not choosers, are they? So, whatever. Let's get into the main card. 6 more fights to break down. Let's get into it as we begin in the featherweight division with a fight that should give us our first finish of the night as we begin the night of UFC Vegas 104's main card with Kevin El Chino Vallejos versus Seung Sting Choi. This should be interesting. This should be a fun fight. I highly doubt this goes to full 15 minutes. And I highly doubt I get this fight wrong, because it seems like a very cut and dry fight in my opinion. So, let's talk about it. We'll begin with Kevin Vallejos. Kevin has made the UFC debut, coming out Contender Series, where he did have 2 fights on there. In his first one, he fought Gene Silva. That went as you expected. Then he won 2 fights afterwards, came back to Contender Series and beat the shit out of some dude named Cam Teague. Kevin looks alright. I'm not overly impressed, but I'm not gonna shit on the kid. He's 23 years old, 14-1 from Argentina. They need some fucking help there. Ponzi getting old as dirt. We'll see what Kevin can do. He's getting a very favorable debut. He hits really fucking hard. He has a good power. He has good striking. His grappling's alright. We'll see what this kid can do. He's getting a big spotlight opening up the main card. See what you can do, man. I'm not seeing a lot of you fighting. I saw you get beat up by Gene Silva, and I saw you beat up a tomato can. Now it's time for the big leagues. See what you got, kid. To talk about his opponent, Seung Choi. Not a lot to say about him. 4-6 in the UFC. His 4 wins have been Suman Mokhtarian, Yusuf Zalal, Julian Rosa, and Jarno Aarons. His losses have been Mansour Evloyev, Gavin Tucker, Alex Caceres, Josh Kulabau, Michael Trudano, and Steve Garcia. Long story short, Seung Woo Choi is just a punching bag. He has the look of a fighter who would be good. He's very tall. But he's not good. Like, he has a weak chin. He's very hittable. His wins are against terrible fighters, or Julian Rosa, who has no chin. Like, he has good power in his hands, but outside of that, no grappling, no durability. Cardio ain't great, if he can even make it long enough to gas. Like, he's not a great fighter, and he's just a punching bag most of the time, so it's that simple. He's pretty much just a tall punching bag. So he's still young, he's only 32, but he's taken a lot of damage, and yeah, he's just not the most talented, so he keeps finding a way to win and keep his job, but it's not been easy, so we'll see if he can play spoiler and fraud check Kevin, but I feel like it's very unlikely. We know what he's here to do. Choi is here to make Kevin look good, so let's see if he does. The Bang Ass first fight have Kevin minus 450 to plus 325. You could have Kevin way higher than that, minus 5 to 600. He's gonna win. He's my lock of the night. I don't see how he loses this fight. Choi is not good, and Kevin has looked alright on Contender Series, which is definitely a kind of window dressing you gotta look through to see the truth. And I think at least here, I don't know if Kevin's legit, but at least in this fight he should be able to beat Seung Woo Choi, a guy not known for great anything. So give me Kevin Villanos by knockout in the first. I don't really see how he loses this fight unless he gets knocked out, which is unlikely if Gene Silva couldn't finish him. I don't see Choi finishing him, so Kevin should be able to get Choi out there pretty easily, like Steve Garcia did, and should be a successful debut for him. So give me Kevin Villanos by knockout in the first, my lock of the night. Not very complicated. Choi is just a tall punching bag. After that, we go to our second fight of the main card, the fight that got flipped for the Su Young Yu fight. So now this is on main card, and that's on the prelims. And then our second main card fight of the night in the light heavyweight division. Another pretty easy fight to predict, not far off from the first fight of the main card, as we have Diyar Nurgozhay versus Brendson the Gorilla Ribeiro. Yeah, this fight's kind of the same as the Kevin Villanos fight. Young prospect coming off Contender Series fighting a tomato can. We'll see what happens. We'll begin with Diyar Nurgozhay. Diyar is making his UFC debut, coming off the Contender Series where he looked pretty good. Got a nice head kick KO. He didn't look phenomenal, but he didn't look awful. I don't love him coming from Eagle FC. That's worrying. But you know, it happens. Not fighting the highest level of competition, but good thing he's fighting Brendson Ribeiro, who's awful. Not a lot to say about Diyar, because I don't remember his Contender Series fight very much. His grappling is probably alright. I would hope it's alright. His striking's decent. He has good power. He's an interesting prospect. Hopefully we can add him to the list of prospects at light heavyweight, because we need as many as we can get after we just lost Ibo Aslan to the Fraud Club. So let's see if we can add another prospect to the prospect club, because I would hate to add him to the fraud club. But let's see. We're very unlucky with our light heavies and our heavies when it comes to prospects. So let's see what happens. Diyar, don't disappoint, please. We need a prospect at heavyweight. Omer and fucking who's the other one? Omer Sai and Zhang Mingyang can only do so much to carry a division. So yeah. Talk about his opponent, Brendson Ribeiro. I'm not going to click on his profile because he doesn't deserve it. He's terrible. Won on Contender Series, lost his first 2 UFC fights against Zhang and Gatshushulov, which that one's not aged great. And then his last fight, he had one of the worst fights of 2024 with Kyle Machado. Someone had to win it, so they gave it to him. And yeah, he's fucking terrible. So he's just here to be cannon fodder for Diyar. So you do that. That's what you're here to do. So do a good job, dummy. So betting odds have Diyar minus 280 to plus 220. You could have him minus 300. You probably should have him minus 300. He should win this fight. I don't see how he doesn't. Unless Ribeiro just comes out with the heaviest of heavy grappling games, which I feel is unlikely, Diyar should be able to win this fight pretty easily by just cracking Ribeiro's chin, because Ribeiro is awful. God damn, that's a reach advantage. So, yeah, not really much else to say. Give me Diyar Nurgozhay by knockout in the first. He should be able to break Ribeiro's weak-ass chin, because Ribeiro is terrible, and should be a good debut for Diyar. So, give me Diyar Nurgozhay by knockout in the first. Kind of the same thing with the Vallejos fight. Young prospect getting a layup in their debut. And I think Brendson Ribeiro is even more of a layup than Seung Choi, so let's see if Diyar proves me right. So give me Diyar by knockout in the first. Have a successful debut. But that is the last debut on the card, because the next 4 fights are a lot of veterans. So let's see what happens. Not gonna say a lot about these fights, because either I don't have a lot to say, or I don't care to talk about them much, but we'll see. Maybe I'll ramble on a little bit, might get lucky. As we go to our third fight of the main card in the bantamweight division. A pretty decent fight, not an outstanding one, but pretty decent. As in our third fight of the main card, in the 135 division, we have Damon, the Monster, Blackshear versus Cody, the Renegade, Gibson. Not a bad fight, of course. 2 dudes we've seen fight many times, and they're both pretty decent. So, that's the main thing with the next 3 fights. It's not an awful fight, because of course I know who they are, and they're not awful, but they're not fight of the year contenders. They would be better as like early prelims on pay-per-view, but whatever. Blackshear, Gibson, pretty solid fight. Should be fun. So, see what happens. And we become the youngster in this fight, Damon Blackshear, 3-3-1 in the UFC. I did not know he was at did not know he was 500 in the UFC, but he's had a weird ass UFC career. He should be 4-3 if he got that Yusuf Zalal decision. Like, he should have beat Luana Lacerda, beat Jose Johnson. A lot of people say he beat Mario Batista, and then he also beat Cody Stamann in his last fight, where he maybe the best he's looked in his career so far. And then his losses, Farid Basharat, understandable. Mario Batista, again, a lot of people don't think he lost. And Monto Jackson, who's very good. Damon's a weird fighter. He's very good, but he definitely has a ceiling. And I think, like, I've talked about it, I think even last week, or top 25, 20 of a division. Blackshear is definitely top 25, but he can never beat the guys who are ranked higher. Like, his wins have been Tomato Can, not very good. Tomato Can, and then Cody Gibson's not very good. And if you look at his losses, they're probably gonna be ranked one day. Is ranked. So, very unlucky in that regard. But Damon is still pretty good. Good ground game, decent striking, okay cardio. He's a decent fighter, and he still beats 90% of 135, so I don't know what else to say. He's pretty good. Pretty good. Just can't beat the higher echelon, which is understandable when they're these guys. So, yeah. Not very much to say. We know we're getting with Damon Blackshear, a very good grappler, a decent striker, and a pretty good fighter nonetheless. So, yeah, he beats 90% of 135. To talk about his opponent, Cody Gibson. Cody is 3-5 in UFC. I'm not gonna go over his first UFC run because it's fucking pointless. Because it's fucking pointless to do that every time he fights at this point when he's had 5 fights since coming back. So, to talk about how he's done since coming back to the UFC, of course we know he was on Tough again, ran the gauntlet, made it to the finale, and then lost to Brad Katona in a banger. Then he fought Miles Johns, which is never an easy fight, and got beat up there. But now he's really fighting and finding his stride, beating Brian Kelleher and Chad and Hellinger back to back. Yeah, those are pretty terrible wins. Brian Kelleher is so old. He just retired a few weeks ago, so what did I tell you? And Chad and Hellinger is not very good, so I like Cody. I think he has a lot of talent, but again, he's not shown it against high-level guys. The Katona fight was very good. The Miles Johns fight was not. He got pretty embarrassed in that fight. And then his last 2 wins, he looked really good. But again, Brian Kelleher, Chad and Hellinger, yeah, I would hope you look good in that fight. So, I don't know. He's 37 years old at bantamweight. He's very tall. He probably should be a featherweight. At 5'10", an inch shorter than Sean O'Malley, who also should probably be a featherweight. He's very talented. He could pull an upset off here. It's unlikely, though. So, I like Cody, but unless he's fighting a tomato can like Chad or Kelleher, this is probably gonna be like the Miles Johns fight. So, he's just gonna get outclassed by the younger, better fighter in 2025. And the betting odds agree. Kevin Damon Blackshear minus 400 to plus 310. Yeah. I don't know if I'd say 400, that feels a little off. But Blackshear could be like minus 250, 300. He should win. Cody Gibson is 37 years old. And can be outclassed very easily. Again, Miles Johns did it, and I think Damon is pretty much on the same level as Miles Johns. Brad Katona was able to beat him in a striking match. Cody has weapons. He's not a bad striker. He has a decent ground game, but his Blackshear should win. It's that simple. He's 7 years younger. He's the better fighter, more well-rounded fighter. So, again, could Cody pull off the upset here? Yes. Is it likely? No. I think it's very unlikely. So, Most likely Blackshear will beat him in a striking match. We'll definitely beat him in a grappling match. And overall, we'll probably just beat him. So, give me the bottom Blackshear by decision. I don't see the fight going many other ways. Maybe I'm trying to think how Gibson could pull off a win. I don't know if he can steal 2 rounds. He's not gonna knock out Damon. I doubt he's gonna finish it, submit him. Yeah, it just feels like Gibson does not have many ways of winning this fight, so give me Damon Blackshear by decision. Just seems like the most logical pick. It seems like that's most people's picks, and should hit. So give me Damon Blackshear by decision in a fight that I'm really not sure how he chokes. So about that simple. Blackshear by decision. After that, we had up 20 pounds for our 11th fight of the night, our 4th of the main card. Not gonna say a lot here because I really don't care to talk about this fight. As in our 4th fight of the main card, our co-main to the co-main, we head to lightweight for a fun low-level fight between Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez versus Kurt the Hurt Holobaugh. Alexander Hernandez fights in Big 2025. What are we talking about, man? Come on. I'm not gonna say a lot here because I don't care to talk about this fight. Alexander Hernandez is still in the UFC somehow. He somehow won a fight, beating Austin Hubbard. God, Austin Hubbard, shitty. Kurt Holobaugh. A lot of green on his record lately, although beat Austin Hubbard. Looked okay in his last fight. I don't need to say much. You know what this fight is. This is a low-level banger. That's simple. These two are not good fighters at all. But you wanna know what they are? Entertaining. They're not gonna try and cuddle each other. They're gonna try and throw down until someone drops. So, I'll give them that. I don't care to break it down. Again, Alexander Hernandez in 2025, he's the same shitty fighter he's been his whole career. I don't really need to tell you that. Kurt Holobaugh, not really the best fighter. Got outclassed by Trey Ogden, which is not awful. His 2 wins since coming back have been Hubbard and Khrushchevsky, who are awful. It's a low-level fight. It's probably gonna win 5 tonight. 5 tonight, either gonna be this the fight we're talking about right now, or Nunes Cachoeira, as we talked about earlier. And that's that. This is like the atypical Apex prelim or co-main. I'm shocked it's not the co-main. So, I'm being honest, I thought this would be the co-main. It's like the perfect Apex co-main. You had 2 guys we've heard of, 2 guys who are fun fighters who are going to have a fun fight. That means they co-main, but I guess they just missed out. So, yeah, not very much to say. So, the betting odds have Alexander Hernandez minus 190. He's actually up to like minus 200 now. 2 plus 155. Alexander Hernandez should never be minus 200. He's terrible. He truly fucking is terrible. I'd probably say this should be a pick'em. They're both not very good. They both could lose very easily, knowing them, and it probably will end in some crazy fashion or just a 15-minute banger. So, who am I gonna go with? I'm probably gonna go Kurt Holobaugh. A, he's not Alexander Hernandez, which is a plus, and B, in a 15-minute banger, I'm gonna take the guy who I think has more heart and better cardio. I think Hernandez has the power advantage in the striking, but I think Kurt has a decent chin, which Hernandez does not. I think Kurt has a good heart. I think Kurt has good cardio compared to Hernandez. And I think Kurt has a better ground game than Hernandez. So, give me Kurt Holobaugh by pride decision. Good chance we get a finish in this fight. Very good chance. But I'm going to go pride decision. I think Kurt, round 1 might be pretty bad. He might get dropped. But round 2 and 3, I think Kurt can turn it on and probably sneak out a decision. So, give me Kurt Holobaugh by decision in what should be probably fight of the night. So, let's see what happens. Of course I say all this and we're gonna get a boring fucking grappling match, so you never know. But on paper, we should get a fight of the night here, and on paper, I'm picking Kurt Holobaugh by decision, because he's not shitty Alexander Hernandez. Duh. After that, we go to our co-main event of the evening, the most random fucking co-main I've ever seen, and a very easy one to predict at that. And then our co-main event of the evening, we head to welterweight for a perfectly fine fight. I don't think this is a terrible fight, but it's not Scream co-main. It's okay, but it's not great. And then our co-main event of the evening, in the welterweight division, we have Elizu Capoeira Zaleski versus Chidi Bang Bang and Njokuani. Not a bad fight. They're both very old, but they're both doing some good work at welterweight at the moment, so I'll give them that. Both coming off wins or a winning streak, but it still shouldn't be a co-main, right? It doesn't feel like a co-main. What do I know? Let's get into it. I will begin with the veteran at welterweight, Zaleski Capoeira. 11-4-1 UFC at 38 years old. Zaleski's had a pretty good UFC career. His most notable wins, his wins, because he's won not had many. Omari Akhmedov, Keita Nakamura, Lyman Good, Max Griffin, Sean Strickland, Luigi Vangermini, Curtis Millender, Alexei Kernchenko, Benoit Saint Denis, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, and Zach Scoggins. His losses have been Nicholas Dalby, Leach, Muslim Sadikov, and Randy Brown, and he had that draw with Renato Fraknadinov, which was probably a robbery, so what does that tell you? Zaleski's a very talented fighter. Obviously, Capoeira, this next game, he's very good at Capoeira, really good kicks, good striking, decent power in his feet and hands, decent ground game. He gave Randy Brown a good fight. Obviously, he beat Benoit senseless. He knocked out that Scoggins kid in a fucking minute. He's very good still, even at 38 years old. He can still hang with the best of them. He's still a top 20-25 welterweight in my opinion, and he's still very talented. Well-rounded, good power, good fighter. He's never been able to crack the top 15 or get that big statement win. Max Griffin and Sean Strickland are two top tier wins back to back, but not in 2017, 2018. Omari Akhmedov was a decent fighter at one point. Benoit Saint Denis at one point looked like a good win. Fucking Abubakar Nurmagomedov. You think he's good, but he's not. And then his losses, he just keeps losing to the guys who are right outside the top 15. Dalby, Leach, Salikov, and Brown, four dudes who are very good. and are right outside the top 15, so he just can't really break that glass ceiling and get that ranking fight. Like, think about how good of a fight. Think of how good a fight between him and Wonder Boy would be. Like, dude, that would be fun. But it's unlikely to happen, and more than likely, Zaleski will keep doing what he's been doing for probably another year or so, beating the guys who are not in that higher echelon of the division, but not being able to break through and beat the guys who are right outside the top 15. So, very talented fighter, very well-rounded, even at 38, going to be 39 years old this year. He is still very talented, staying active, and still very good. Talk about his opponent, Chidi Bang Bang. Chidi in the UFC is 4-3 at 36 years old. Two very old dudes in this fight. He, of course, started the UFC career on a contender series, got a contract, and he was a middleweight. His middleweight run went pretty bad, 2-3. Moves down to welterweight, and he's looked pretty bad. He's winning, but not impressively. That Reese McKee fight was boring as shit. That Jared Gooden fight was not impressive. Two dudes he probably should have wiped the floor with. He went 15 minutes with, somehow. He's just looked super unimpressive at welterweight. He's got more passive. He's not throwing as much or like as entertaining as he was at middleweight. He's using his grappling more, which is lame. He's kind of moving away from the thing that made him very entertaining. That's his devastating power. I don't know if he lost it at welterweight, but I doubt it. So he's just been more conservative as a fighter. I guess that Oleksiejczuk fight really changed him. But this is his first real test at welterweight, because Reese McKee and Jared Gooden are pathetic. This is a big step up from those two, and this is going to say a lot about how good Chidi really is at welterweight, because he's going to have to work for this one. He ain't going to be able to slowly fight his way to win here. He's going to have to fight on the feet. He's going to be in a battle. In the grappling exchanges, he's going to be working. This is going to be interesting. He's going to have to work for this win, man. Should be a good fight. Still, I don't think it's a co-main, but it still should be a pretty solid fight, so we'll see what Judy can do, man. So, maybe he'll land that death touch on Zaleski, or maybe he'll show he is still that same guy we saw at middleweight. So, we're gonna find out. Or if he wants to win this fight, he's gonna have to bring out Bang Bang. He can't be this guy who's been pretty boring in his first two welterweight fights. So, let's see if he can do it. The Bang Out's first fight have Zaleski minus 180 to plus 150. Yeah, Zaleski minus 180, 190 sounds pretty accurate. He should win this fight. I think he's better than Chidi. I'm not gonna say that. I know he's better than Chidi. Yeah, he's much shorter, and he's 2 years older, but again, I think he's a better striker. I think he's as good of a grappler, if not better. The only thing that could stall that is Chidi being just stronger. As Zaleski has better cardio, he should be able to beat Chidi over 15 minutes. I doubt we get a finish in this fight. If we do, it's probably going to be from Chidi. More than likely, Zaleski is going to be able to just beat him over 15 minutes on the feet or on the ground. It might get close. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a close fight, but it's gonna probably be a Zaleski W. He's more experienced. He's more well-rounded. He's a smarter fighter, and he should win in a 15-minute fight that's gonna go 15 minutes. I usually don't want Chidi and Jokowane. I really don't want him here against a tough old man like Zaleski. So, give me Eliza Zaleski by decision in what should be a very close but clear fight, and a good one at that in our co-main event. So give me Zaleski. Could Chidi land a death touch? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. So, give me Eliza's Lesky by decision in our co-main event of the evening. Should be a good one. Still not coming. And speaking of things that are not what they should be, a shitty main event that no one asked for being the main event. Oh boy, I'm not gonna waste your time with this. You don't care. I don't care. Let's get this out of the way as we get to our main event of the evening. A shitty rematch in the middleweight division no one fucking asked for. As we end UFC Vegas 104 with a fight that should not be a main event, should not even be happening in general, as we end with Marvin the Italian Dream Vettori versus Roman the Caucasian. I think that's what that's. I'm fucking half asleep. Dolidze. I'm not gonna waste your time here. You don't care who wins this fight. I don't care who wins this fight. Yes, this is a rematch from when? Almost 2 years ago. Funny enough, the same card as Gaethje Fiziev, so take that as you will. Yeah, Vettori won 2 years ago. Vettori was a better fighter 2 years ago. 2 years later, after a super long layoff, I don't know. Dolidze has been doing pretty good work lately, even against pretty low-level competition. I don't care who wins. The first fight wasn't good. This fight ain't gonna be good with 10 extra minutes. This is a terrible main event. Hughes Dern was better. And that says a lot. This is fucking terrible. I don't know what you want me to say. It's cool to have Vettori back, but he could have fought anyone else. Anyone else. He could have fought Brandon Allen. He could have fought fucking Fluffy Hernandez before he fought Brandon Allen. He could have fought fucking anybody. He could have fought fucking anybody. But for some reason they do this stupid fight. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I don't give a fuck who wins. I'm probably gonna go Roman Dolidze. I think he's looked pretty decent lately, and who knows how old and washed Vettori is. So I get the betting odds being pretty close. It probably should be a pick'em. I picked Vettori in the first fight, which that was a pretty easy pick. Now in the rematch, I'll probably go Dolidze. I don't care who wins, but I feel Dolidze is the better pick here, so that's what I'm gonna go with. To end the night at UFC Vegas 104 in a god-awful main event, give me Roman Dolidze to get revenge on Marvin Vettori and win a shitty fucking fight. Roman Dolidze by decision to end this god-awful card with a god-awful main. Finally, I can say, boom. That was the card. To go over my picks one more time. Yuneisy Duben by decision. Josie Nunes by decision. André Lima by decision. Stephanie Luciano by decision. Josias Musasa by decision. Seung by decision. Waldo Cortes-Acosta by decision. Kevin Vallejos, my lock of the night by knockout in the first. Diyar Nurgozhay by knockout in the first. Blackshear by decision. Kurt Halaba by decision. Eliza Zaleski by decision. And Roman Dolidze to end the night by decision. Yeah, a lot of decisions. A few of those could change. Obviously, I talked about these two probably being the best options for that. These will probably all be decisions. I'd be shocked if they weren't. Maybe this could be a finish, but I doubt it. Waldo's not a finisher. I doubt we get a finish here. Maybe we get one here. Unlikely. So I say up to 5 finishes. Hernandez, Musasa, and Young could all be a finish. But outside of those 5, I think you're really gonna. I think it's very unlikely for a lot of these fights to be finishes. So, I hope I'm wrong. but I doubt I am, so... It's an Apex card also, so keep that in mind. It's not a good card. A few of the fights are alright, some of the debuts are interesting, but outside of that, shitty main event. If a real main event, even if this was Roman Dolidze and Roman Kopylov, or Roman Dolidze versus Brendan Allen, or Roman Dolidze versus Jared Cannonier, it'd be pretty good. It'd be a pretty good card, but it's Vettori rematch for some reason that no one asked for or wants. I don't get it. I truly don't fucking get it. So maybe it's a good fight, but I can't remember ever saying that about Roman Dolidze fight. So it's unlikely, to say the least. So a few things I'm excited for on this card. Like, the rest of the main card's not awful. Like, this ain't terrible. This could be interesting. That will probably be a fun fight. Don't care. And I'm jumping for joy at that. That could be fun. These two could be fun since they're probably gonna just be one-sided beatings. And then this is interesting. But you're grasping at straws for shit. Like, let's be honest. So, you're just grasping at straws. And these straws are breaking by the seams, so... We'll see. We'll see what happens Saturday. It's not a great card. I'm not very excited. And, yeah. Not much more to add. Outside of that, I don't really got a lot more to add. UFC Vegas 104. Normal bad Apex card. A few decent things on it, but the awful main event really dumbs it down, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. A lot of decisions. God. On an Apex card, we're gonna get like at least 4 robberies. Had probably a draw in there in between, so let's just get this out of the way and head to London next week. Even that card's better than this. That's main event by Leon Edwards. Says a lot. So whatever. Let's get to the fights. And when we do, and after they're done, you'll hear me recap them Sunday. So the UFC Vegas 104 recap will be out sometime on Sunday. And yeah, not really much more to say. Unless I'm feeling to say something about this pretty shit card, which I would be shocked if I am. I guess the only thing left to say now is I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2025. And unless we're going to say something, not a good card. Few okay things. It was a bad main event. As always, finally, after still found a way to talk for an hour and 40 minutes. Motherfucker. RX. Out. Good vibes. Only. And